In this week's episode of Overbore, we once again forget to turn the microphones on when we record the intro. It was intentional, trust us, it's just something we do. Anyway, we go on to talk about poppadoms, the chippy Chinese, we talk about Volvo estates, new ones, old ones, good ones, bad ones. Were there any bad ones? Discuss. And we talk about unbalanced V6 engines, all in this episode of Overbore. Hello and welcome to Overbore. It is Overbore 11. We have done 11 of these now, Rich. Can you believe it? Yeah. And our viewership is going nowhere.
Well, it's
going up ever so slightly.
It's driving across the fens.
It's literally plateaued.
Yes.
No, it's going up slightly.
It's not going to make us the millionaires that we were hoping.
Well, not yet. Let's be positive.
True.
You know?
Yes, true.
We've got this.
Rome wasn't built in a day.
No, well, exactly. So on that note, if you do want to tell people about us, then please do tell people about us.
Please do it.
Please tell people about us. Like, share, subscribe. Go on social media and say, these two guys are doing a podcast and it's amazing and it's awesome.
Even if you don't think it is, just say it
is. Definitely.
Because to be fair, not many people are going to think it is.
And if you don't think it is and you don't want to tell everyone it's great, then just don't say anything at all.
Yeah, you're no use to us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Pretty much. I'm Scrof. This is a man with a beard and luscious
that's also
hair.
You. Oh, and that's not you.
No. I realised I had to make some
I need to cut my hair. It's summer. It's getting hot now, and it's time for my yearly haircut. So the next time you see me... Well, no, the next time you see me, I won't have had my hair cut. Because of the unique way in which we film these.
In 4 episodes' time.
I'll probably still be wearing the same T-shirt as well, amazingly. But
that would be amazing, though. That would be commitment to the bit if you went and got a haircut between now and us filming the next episode, which is going to happen fairly soon after.
It would be, yes, it would be...
pretty impressive.
It would be, actually, yeah. But no, I won't. But for this is the penultimate episode of this series.
And that's right. We're going to have a series break.
We're going to do 12 a series. Well, no, 12 of this series, but like next time we might do 11.
Yeah, we might decide
13.
We might vary it. I mean, that's the beauty.
We've named this after a Jaguar, so it's like XJ12.
Oh, okay, I see.
12 in the series, and next time it can be the C1. That'd be good.
Series of 1.
We do a 1 episode, then we have a break.
A one-off special.
Give ourselves a break. Have a little holiday.
Have a nice little time. With all the money we've earned from doing our 1 episode.
Which is to be clear, is nothing.
Literally zero.
In fact, we are very much in debt.
100%
because you've been spending time and money coming down here.
Oh, yeah.
And I've been losing working time.
Yeah.
When I could have been making videos that make me pennies on YouTube.
If we had business managers, they would say,
Stop
what
it.
are you doing?
Stop it now.
Stop this.
Stop this nonsense now.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. I have a feeling this is probably how like the rest is history started.
Oh, yeah, and we're definitely going to go on to the same levels of greatness as the rest is history. 100%.
100%.
Yeah, we're definitely going to be as well known as the rest is history.
Yeah.
In fact, we may end up rebranding the podcast one day as the rest is cars.
Someone's probably already done that.
Gary Lineker, if you're listening, we are available.
Are we?
If he wants to pay us a bunch of money...
Does he own the Rest Is franchise?
That's him, yeah.
Oh, I thought he just did the Rest Is football.
No, he owns Goalhanger, which do the whole Rest Is franchise.
Oh, yeah, Gary.
I don't know if he fully owns it, but he's definitely...
Gary, yeah, I'm up for it. I don't like Leicester, admittedly, but...
Call us.
Yeah, I'm not... But,
we're available.
Yeah, no, I'll take it back. I don't think he's not... Yeah.
It's fine, it's great.
Yeah.
You like Walker's now as well, Walker's Crisp.
That's pushing it a bit. Actually, no, I like Walker's Baked. Walker's baked salt and vinegar. Walker's baked salt and vinegar are immense.
Goodness
they are
me.
Top tier crisps.
Wow.
Yeah,
Crikey,
they are
that
really
is a
good.
Statement.
They're way nicer than the standard one. What is that statement?
I just baked it.
Sometimes they've got paper bags as well. They're like really like nice. Do you remember the lamb and mint sauce flavour ones they did? The Sensations or whatever they were.
Oh, actually, no, I do. The Sensations.
Yeah, they were great.
Do you know what I quite like? They do a Sensations poppadoms. The ones with like lime and
do you know, I used to just go to the newsagent. No, it wasn't the newsagent because they'd be like, "Get out, we don't sell poppadoms." Do you know, it was the Chinese.
It was the Chinese. Yeah. I thought that was going to be another mistake.
I've only just realised. Oh, hang on. Am I being an idiot?
I mean, it wouldn't be the first time.
No, I swear to God, the Chinese
did poppadoms
near me that ran the fish and chip shop.
Right.
So it was a chippy Chinese. Right, chippy Chineses are great. We've got one down here, haven't we?
Yeah.
So, but I swear I used to buy poppadoms from there. They were 15p.
To be fair,
but there was an Indian next door.
Maybe that's where they got them from.
Why? That would be weird, though.
It was a big crisp. A big round crisp.
Yeah, I used to love them. That sounds like a poppadom.
Love them.
Yeah,
I'd never put anything in it. I'd just test it on its own.
It's the least culturally sensitive description of a poppadom ever. It's a large crisp.
But it is.
You're not wrong.
It's like a disco, but without the face-altering amounts of salt and vinegar.
Oh, God, seriously, discos, you eat them. Oh, I love them.
What's the car equivalent of a disco?
Probably a Land Rover Discovery, because it's called a disco.
Yeah, and they make my face go, ugh, as well. Honestly, the new Discovery, the Discoveries of the last however many years, are probably one of my most hated cars.
That's interesting.
I despise them. They look hideous.
They're not pretty.
They're so high and flat-sided.
What's disappointing is they are really they're amazing. Well, if you're in one driving it, they're very nice. But at all other times, i.e. when it's broken down, which it often will. And that's not just slander, that's backed up by reliability surveys that say that generally feature Land Rover very close to the bottom. Or if you have to look at it, it's less enjoyable to be associated with.
They are, yes. No, they look atrocious. I've seen better looking roadkill.
Gosh, that's a statement.
Yeah, I have. I have seen more attractive roadkill. Whatever the Discovery just drove over looks better than the Discovery that drove over it.
Oh, dear. Anyway, moving on.
Well, that was a strange intro, wasn't it? Into a car podcast, we've talked about roadkill and poppadoms and chippy Chinese.
But we did also...
Who doesn't love a chippy Chinese?
Oh, yeah, no, you're not wrong.
I really want one now.
Well, maybe we can do one after this, between now and recording the next podcast, which absolutely isn't what happens.
Yeah, because we'll have 7 days in which to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Don't not breaking the fourth wall or anything like that. It's fine. Anyway, you did mention, we did talk about spreading the word about our podcast, and you can do that on social media. We're on all forms of social media. You can get in touch with us by email if you want to. We do that. I mean, we're very modern like that. We do email. It's overboardpod@gmail.com. Send us your thoughts, your comments, your opinions, your questions, and one of these days we'll get round to actually doing a Q&A. If you've sent us questions already, we really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm thinking we need to do something with that.
We should probably actually answer the questions.
Yeah, and I'm thinking what we should probably do from now on. I had this idea, and I was going to bring it up to you, but I'll bring it up with you now, because with everyone's here, with the group.
Yeah.
My idea was to do little videos and put them on a YouTube channel where we answer the questions rather than writing them out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Rather than writing them out.
Rather than replying in written form.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
We just do it, because then me or you can do it.
Yeah.
We can just sit down and just answer them, and then the answers that you would have given would be different to the answers I would give.
Yeah.
And then you can watch it back and listen to me give answers, and you can be there going, no, don't say that.
Wrong. Why have you said
that's entirely wrong, and I can go, he can't do anything about it.
No, actually, that's quite unlikely. It's more likely that I would do an answer, and then you would sit there going, this is entirely
Depends
wrong.
what it's about. If it's about new cars and like the internal politics between manufacturers and their hybrid systems, and I don't know, then yeah, you probably know it. But if it's anything mechanical, if it's about Passat engine orientation. I'll need to answer that.
That's a good point. I do need to make an apology and a correction because I said... Actually, I didn't say I'm certain of it, but I did say I'm pretty sure of it. I was completely wrong about the orientation of the engine in the B5 Volkswagen Passat. I believe I even said, in order to try and validate my opinion, my dad had one.
Yes.
That is the thing I said.
Yeah, you laid it down.
I know because my dad had one.
Yes.
And yet I was completely wrong.
That makes it more embarrassing.
Hugely.
Well, you see, I have something that you don't have. My dad actually had one of those.
Yeah. So I know.
Yeah.
I know what I'm talking about.
Which makes it worse that you got it wrong.
It's almost like an opinion based watch this.
Yeah, it is.
It's here's how watch me embarrass myself completely enough.
Yes.
So anyway,
I didn't mention that I used to work at Euro Car Parts and sold parts for them all the time.
No, you were very good. I must say, you were very good at just letting me baste in my own ridiculousness.
Yeah, well, you got me on the Ford Escort rear suspension earlier on.
Did I?
Yeah, so I'd lost my confidence.
Was I right about that?
Yeah,
I was right about
I looked at it.
Well, I think that's a no-score draw, basically, isn't it?
I think I won. I'd say I won that one.
All right, fine. I'll let you have it. It's all right.
You can't. It's not yours to let me have, but yeah, fine.
What have you been up to this week, Rich?
Arguing with you.
Yes.
I have been working on that TVR again, actually.
This is sounding a bit like a stuck record.
Yeah. Well, it's a bit. So I've been working on a TVR, which is I cannot go into it by the time you get to the end of the podcasts, I will have gone into it bit by bit.
Okay.
But this time I've taken the sump off it.
I thought for a moment there you were going to say you'd taken the mirrors off that you'd fitted last week.
No, they're still on. You
Okay,
can see them.
that's good.
And they're straight. I had to take the sump off because the sump was leaking. Some gasket was leaking.
Okay.
Now, the engine that's in this TVR M series is not the original engine. It's a TVR 2500M.
Okay.
From 1974.
Which suggests it's a 2.
It would have originally been a Triumph 2.5 straight 6.
2.5.
2.5. Easy for me to say. It would have been a Triumph 2.5 straight 6.
Okay.
This was in America, this car.
Okay.
And there was no engine in it when the guy bought it.
Yes, I remember you saying
So
that.
he put in an American engine, which is a Buick oddfire V6. Buick 231, I think they call it. 231 cubic inch. So it's a 3.8 litre, 90-degree V6.
Gosh.
Oddfire, so it's not got split crank journals or anything. It's literally the two opposite pistons do the opposite of each other.
Oh, okay.
Which is funny because it means I've got two cars in my possession which are both like that.
Oh, really? What's the other one?
The SM.
Oh, is it? Oh, interesting.
90-degree oddfire V6.
Okay.
And they have different ways of trying to get over the spark problem because they fire unevenly. It means it fire like normally you'd have a V6 firing every. No, hang on. No, it'd be every 120 degrees.
I'm
ideally.
not going to pick you up on this because this is literally the first time I've ever heard the term odd fire.
Oh no, it's actually quite interesting.
No, I'm actually genuinely interested.
So, because the ideal bank angle for a V6 is actually 120 to be perfectly smooth. Okay. But that's impractical.
Sure.
So that's why they make it 60.
Very wide car.
That's why they make it 60 because it's half of 120. So not ideal, but is as good as you can get realistically. It's why they're 60. It's why V8s are 90.
Yep.
But the V8s Buick did, I'm guessing they didn't know anything about,
anything.
No, they would have. I think they knew stuff.
Okay.
I think even though they're old back in the days and it's all old antiquated technology, I think they knew a bit because they made cars.
I mean, that was a fairly facetious comment, to be fair. It was just a throwaway comment.
Yeah, they were quite big.
They knew a lot more than I do.
Yes.
So
that's fair. I think they did. I think they. I think that's quite humble of you to admit.
I like Buicks. I really. There's
I wouldn't go that far.
One of my favourite cars is a 1971 Buick Riviera.
Oh, no, I'd go with that.
Boat tail
which version? Because there's a few different types, aren't there?
Well, the one I like.
Oh no, not that. That's not the one I'm thinking of.
No.
The Oldsmobile Toronado.
Oh, that's a cool thing.
I like that. Yeah. The front wheel drive.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. No, I like the 71 Riviera, which if you ever watched an obscure old television show called Due South.
I did not.
Which was all about Canadian Mountie.
God, I remember that.
The 71 Riviera was the star car.
That's such a you program.
Oh, definitely.
Did you used to watch Eldorado?
No, I'd never watched Eldorado.
I bet
wasn't into soap operas. I'm not a soap opera person, you know.
No, I suppose it's a bit more lower class.
Exactly. Come on.
No, I can't remember what I was saying about Buick.
Yeah.
So, you'd normally have a 60 degree is the ideal. Buick, for reasons, did it in 90.
Okay.
Because I don't know why. Okay. It might be because they were just making V8s.
Right, okay.
And thought, let's try our hand at V6s.
Was it literally just a V8 with two cylinders locked off it?
No, well, see, this is where it gets interesting. Okay. So I'll park the SM to one side. Okay. Right, the SM is 90 degree because Maserati's tooling was for 90 degree. Right, okay. And to do an entire production line for something completely different is just not practical. So they made it 90 degree, knowing it was not going to be an even firing engine. But basically, the Buick V6 that's in that is the forerunner to the Rover V8.
That's the Buick V6. That's
the Buick V6. The Rover V8 was either based on or came from, or the V6 came from the V8.
Yeah.
It's all iron, so it's a cast iron engine.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of it. I got the oil pump. I'd take the oil pump apart in some of the work I did, and the gasket came from a Rover V8 conversion set I had upstairs. Amazing. I happened to have one upstairs for a really old Rover V8. And it was the same gasket. So, and the drawback of those engines is that the oil system cannot prime itself.
Okay.
So if you drain the oil out of it and then fill it back up, and if you've waited too long, or if you've taken the oil filter off or taken the oil pump apart or whatever, if you then try and crank the engine over, it will start, but it won't pick the oil up.
Right. Okay.
And that's how people have damaged Rover V8s. It's not a case on Rover V8s with the serpentine engine, the later engine, different oil pump, it sorts itself out.
Okay.
But the early ones, you have to prime them.
Okay.
And I have in my possession a tool that we made here for priming Rover V8s. You take the distributor out, you put this tool on the oil pump drive, you put it in a drill, and you go like that.
This is one of the things. I'm just going to blow smoke up your ass for a minute, so excuse me. This is one of the things I love about coming here, is whenever I get a car worked on by Rich and by Southways generally, before it was just you, inevitably at some point the conversation will happen where you say, they come to you and they say, this has gone wrong on your car. They don't make the thing that you need to do this, but we've made a tool that does it anyway.
Well, you have to.
I know, but I don't know a lot of garages that would actually do that these days.
Yeah, maybe not. Not many people
It's just amazing.
work on these old...
It's this is broken. You need this. It doesn't exist anymore, but we've made it.
We'll make it. Well, no, all it is, it's just amazing. A bar. It's a bar, and then it's got an end made on it which connects to the drive for the oil pump, and the other end on the Rover tool that we made. You can buy those Rover tools now.
Yeah, I really can.
Yeah, they've started producing them. But the bar is just triangulated at the end to give it purchase, because there's quite actually surprising amount of torque.
Oh, well, I suppose, yeah, it probably is.
But when I basically went to do this on the Buick engine and found that it was male and female.
Oh.
Round the wrong way.
Oh.
So the Buick engine needed a male insert.
Okay.
Ooh. Getting quite hot under the collar here. It needed a male insert.
Okay.
To go into the
So we've just reverted to 14-year-old teenagers for a minute there.
Yes. It needed a male
as opposed to 14-year-old.
It needed a male to insert into the distributor pump drive, whereas in the Rover V8 it's the other way around. It's got a male on the oil pump drive, and you have a female tool.
Okay.
Your slot goes over the male's.
I'm really. There's a lot of self-control going on here.
Yeah. Well, but you have to be controlled when you're doing it, because it's
understand.
oil pressure.
Yes.
It's important. You
Yes.
don't want to spin a big end.
No.
So,
quite.
So yes, what I found is that it's round the other way, and the tool didn't work.
Okay.
Because the two ends, I had lesbians. I couldn't put them together.
Okay.
So I had to make a tool, and I found an old broken screwdriver.
Okay.
And I thought that'll do. So I got my old broken screwdriver and I filed the end down, and then I got a heat gun and I burnt the handle off it, melted it so it fell off. Got a little bit high, but it's fine. And then I had to make a sheath.
Okay.
Because what I didn't want is for the drive, the flathead screwdriver drive, to jump out with the oil pump drive and Swiss cheese anything around it.
No.
So I made a collar that goes over it that keeps it connected on.
I see.
And it all went very well, and I filmed it.
Excellent.
Some of it. So I managed to prime it. The only problem is I realised I didn't have my drill.
Okay.
Which made it harder.
I can imagine.
I couldn't spin it by hand very well.
No.
So I used the air drill I've got, which is this little little thing. Yeah. And bless it, it got hot.
Oh, the air drill did.
compressors kicking and going mad, and it's like, what are you running on here? What's going on here? And the drill's like, just getting the notes just getting lower and lower and lower. And then I couldn't figure out if I'd done it or not. It's got a remote oil filter as well, this thing. So it's got all these lines going to the filter, so it's got an even bigger circuit to do. And this thing's just getting hotter and hotter and hotter, and the compressor's cutting in. And I was like, I think I've got it. And I took it off, and the oil pressure drive had like recoil on it. It span back the other way because the pressure it was. But I went inside. I put my camera inside.
Yeah.
Looked at the gauge. It was working. 55
nice.
psi on that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well done, little air drill.
Well done, little air drill.
That's nice. That's good. We all like the little air drill.
There was a happy ending to it. Yeah, did it. So nice one. I've done it. So I put the distributor back in with the 90 150 90 150 spacing.
Right. Okay.
Because the distributor on one of those, the posts that the HT leads go on are not evenly spaced. Oh. Because it's odd fire. It's not fire.
Okay, right.
Because if you've got your 90-degree engine and one piston's right at the top on the other side, when the crankshaft does its 180 degrees, the other side is not at the top ready to fire.
Oh, I see.
It's halfway on the way up.
So it needs a bit of time.
Or halfway on the way down.
And that's how you introduce the time, is the odd.
Yeah, so it's on one stroke it does 90 degrees, then 150 degrees later it fires again.
Right.
Then 90 degrees it fires again. It goes 90, 150, 91. And that's why they're rough. That's why they're lumpy.
Right, I see.
They're out of balance. I mean, they're flawed from the off.
I see.
If you want to know something quite cool about it, The SM has 2 coils, 2 ignition coils. Have you ever seen that?
No, I haven't.
It's got 2 ignition coils, just standard cylindrical coils, and 2 HT lead or 2 leads that go from those to the distributor cap, and 2 connections on the top of the dizzy caps. Instead of having your 6 around the outside and 1 in the middle, you've got 6 around the outside, 2 in the middle.
Okay.
The reason it has this is because in those days, coils the technology wasn't there for them to recharge fast enough. Above sort of 6,000 revs, close to 7,000 revs.
Okay.
So they had to put 2 coils in. So that one can pick up, then the other one does it, then the other one does it, because 90 degrees, they needed about 120 degrees to recharge.
Right, I see.
But you only had a gap of 90 at times.
Yeah, of course,
so you'd get a misfire. So that's why it's got 2 coils.
So you get to sort of 6,000 revs, and then it would just misfire if you.
Yeah, it would be a right low down, and then when the revs built up, you know, it would.
You literally just not get enough spark.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, it wouldn't be able to regenerate.
I love all these.
That's why old cars were so much better.
But
so much more interesting.
I love all these little innovations and these workarounds and these ways that, you know, manufacturers went, well, we want to do this, but these are the only ways we can make that happen. And there was no kind of boardroom discussion where they went, well, we can't do that.
Yeah.
They just went, well, let's do the workaround then.
I think
this thing that nobody's ever done before.
I think with the SMs, with the Maserati engine, it was because they just had to make that engine work, because it's you know, the prototype was 90 degrees. They wanted to make it 90 degrees as well because it made it lower and smaller, so it makes it, because it was very compact.
Yeah.
With the Buick, they had ways around it. The ignition coil on the Buick engine is in the dizzy cap.
Oh.
It's a very strange kind of design. Doesn't have a double point. Doesn't have a double coil.
Right.
Because they don't rev that high.
Oh, I suppose. Yeah.
They don't often go past. Well, it doesn't want to rev past 5,000 to be fair.
No. Yeah.
Very, very lumpy, very like unclean. But in 1978, I think it was, or 79, they engineered split pin cranks.
Oh.
So instead of having 3 big journals and 2 pistons each sharing a journal, they split the journal, so they overlapped.
Oh, I see.
So now they can precisely decide they can fire evenly now, and they became known as the even fire V6s. So anything from the 80s onwards is even fire.
God, I just love all this kind of.
And then
this
V6s,
little bits of
obviously
random.
They did that with V6 with the 60 degrees, because then they can get them to be perfect as well.
Yeah.
But with the 60 degrees, the journals are offset so much that there's very little material between like 2 of them, and that's where C6, the Lion engine, the HDI Land Rover TD V6, they're known for snapping crankshafts.
Yes.
That's why they snap. Because they're so offset, there's hardly anything between them.
There's not a lot of metal.
Yeah.
Right, I see.
They always go in the same place, but they don't do it in C6s.
Is that, now I've always wondered about this, is that because the Land Rovers are under greater load, because they have to go around a heavier vehicle?
Yeah, more transmission kickback.
Yeah.
They have a different, they're single turbo as well in the Land Rover. They've actually got a different block.
Okay.
And they're single turbo.
Right.
So they're designed to make more torque low down and not be quite as high revving.
Yeah, but I know what you mean. Yeah.
Whereas the C6 has got 2 small turbos, and I think the Jag is the same. I think the S-Type.
Sounds about right.
The S-Type and the XJ. No, the XF had it, didn't it? No. Was it XF front wheel drive or rear wheel drive?
XF's rear wheel drive.
Right, yeah. That had it. Yeah. The S-Type was the first one that had it.
Yeah.
And then obviously the 3-litre version as well.
I think the XJ had it as well.
It might well have done, yeah.
I think XJ had the 2.6.
Yeah, it might have done, yeah. No, it did. You're right. Because I've seen Mike Seaborn racing it at Brands Hatch.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
In fact, I walked past an aluminium XJ TDVI this morning, which I guess is probably that engine.
Yeah, probably.
I couldn't tell you for sure, but I'm assuming it probably was.
Yeah, but that's why V6s can sound different. That's why the PR V6 is 90 degree,
right? Okay.
But even fire.
Okay.
And that's why they sound different to the 60 degree V6s. That's why the SM's got that unique noise. The funny thing is, if I start the Buick TVR and run it and rev it a bit, I can hear this little note, and it's like, it sounds like an SM.
There's something in that.
Yeah, it's the 90 degree. It's the 90 degree. I love a 90 degree V6.
Awesome.
The sound of them is just. I think the XT220 is as well.
Is it?
I think so. Could be wrong.
Listen, I'm going to very much look forward to hearing A, the Buick V6, and B, the SM.
I'm not going to run it for you.
Well, I hope you're going to run the SM for me. When that's up and running, which will take, you know what?
That'll get swept up in a bucket. But yes, no. So yeah, I think the noise is up there for me with the 5 pots.
Really?
Yes, the engine.
So here's a good question. What's your ranking of engine noises? Are V8s at the top or 5 pots at the top?
V10.
V10.
Yeah, but there's two different types of V10.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it's cross plane and flat plane on the V10.
I wouldn't know.
But it's like the Viper.
Yeah.
And like you hear a Dodge Viper,
Yeah,
and you hear an Audi R8.
Very different. Yeah,
and they're very different. And that's because they're the cranks are different.
One's cross plane and one's flat plane.
Yeah, I think it is cross plane and flat plane. And
Okay.
I don't know which one I like more.
Okay.
Well, Lexus LFA is one of my peak
The LFA
noises.
on full bore attack.
Yeah.
It's just just insane. I mean, it sounds like an F1 car.
That's one of my peak noises.
Yeah.
So I would say V10's up there.
Yeah.
But I do love an exquisite kind of characterful V6. Yeah, and a 5-pot.
I'm still a sucker for you're going to hate this because it's just the obvious answer, but I'm still a sucker for an old American V8.
Yeah, no, I get bored of those.
I just love a big lumpy gun. Blah, 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 blah.
No, I get bored of those.
Yeah,
I do. I just hear them all the time.
I suppose.
I hear TVRs non-stop. So
Yeah.
the most excited I've been with a TVR sound in recent years was an S3 Vixen with a 2.5 Triumph lump in it.
Oh, really?
And a cobbled together exhaust from bits from
amazing.
Motor Factors. The exhaust looked awful. And I thought, bloody hell, look at the state that started it. Drove it and thought, oh my God, that sounds amazing. It was so slow. It was so heavy. The engine was just such a lump.
Yeah.
But the noise.
Oh, amazing.
Oh, it's lovely. Yeah, what a wonderful sound. Yes. Yeah, no, we're back because we're not back. We haven't gone anywhere. Seamless. Nothing has changed.
Everything is exactly the same.
Definitely not half an hour later.
No.
Having just sold an engine.
I did love this. You just said to me, I've got a brilliant way to segue this. So the brilliant way to segue this is just to say what's just happened.
What's just happened is quite funny because someone's just turned up with an E38, an E38 7 Series, and have just allowed me to dump a Saxo VTR engine directly into the boot.
Into the boot.
Yeah. And I'm like, I don't want to scratch you, but I don't worry about that. And he's slamming the engine crane into the car. And I'm like, okay. And first time that's happened.
Yep.
But the thing is, the engine looked like it was hanging out. It looked like he was going to have to drive home with his boot open.
Right, yeah.
He shut the boot.
Yeah.
Not only did the boot shut, it missed it. It soft closed.
Incredible.
And then he went to open it again and it wouldn't open.
Oh.
Because he hasn't got a liner on the inside of his boot, and the frame had overlapped part of the engine.
Oh, and it's got stuck.
And it got stuck and it wouldn't come open again. That was your problem.
Bye.
Yeah, thank you. I have the money.
I have your money.
So, I can't remember. We were talking about engines that we really liked and saying about the best sounding engines. That's one of the reasons I dearly departed. It's not departed, it's still there. The S-Max. I love the 5-cylinder element of that, but of course that is a Volvo element.
It is. And
we're sat in a Volvo.
That's a great... Oh, I like what you did there.
Is this a 5-cylinder?
No, it's not.
Oh, right,
it's a 4-pot, I'm afraid. So we are in a Volvo. That's your turn to ask me what I did this week.
What have you done this week?
I've been driving a Volvo. Good. Well, that was seamless.
Excellent.
I think that
you're basically Rickard Rydell.
High production values.
Effectively.
Oh well, yeah, basically. I mean, I'm driving.
I mean, it makes no difference.
Yeah, I'm driving a red Volvo Estate. Well, actually, he didn't drive a red. I'm driving a Volvo Estate.
So His had a very, very, very clever way of getting around.
Did it?
Yeah. What did they do?
Some trick stuff, didn't they?
No, they machined the head or something to sit at a different angle.
Amazing.
Yeah, there's a video on it by... I can't remember who it's by.
Was that... That must have been the 5-pot in that.
It's the 5-pot, yes, because the 5-pot wouldn't... They wanted to lower it and they couldn't lower the engine down because the ancillaries clouted the bulkhead or something.
Right.
And there were rules saying you have to run the original mounts or something like that. I can't remember what the rule was. I'm paraphrasing it. But there was something they did. They changed the angle of... I want to say they changed the angle of the face of the head so that the head sat on the engine slightly on the wonk and then redid all the valves and things. They sat straight. Yeah. And that meant that the manifolds that were bolted to it changed angle and they allowed them to sit it further. I love it. It's something like that.
It's along the lines of the old Toyota...
No, that was cheating. This wasn't cheating.
This wasn't cheating.
No,
the rules.
Yeah, this was within the rules. Yeah,
nice.
Yeah. They were basically. It was still too high and too heavy.
Okay, yeah.
So that's why the Volvo Estate wasn't much good in the BTCC.
Yeah, it won all of our hearts. Let's face it. It was probably not that great, but everybody.
You're crap, but we love you anyway.
100% that.
They had a stuffed dog on the roof.
I know. It's just brilliant.
The unveil. Apparently, the drivers didn't know it was going to be an estate either.
Did they not?
No. When the car rocked up at testing, they were looking at it going, "What?" But there's videos of their reactions, and you can tell they look absolutely distraught.
But isn't that a great example, though, of something that, on the face of it, wasn't very good because it didn't win them anything. And yet, that car built so much brand equity for Volvo.
It did build brand equity because Volvo had none before that.
Volvos
in that
were
world,
so deeply uncool. That is a case of don't win on Sunday, sell on Monday. You know that old win on Sunday, sell on Monday. They never won anything
Finish
on Sunday.
second to last on Sunday, but sell on Monday.
But sell on Monday regardless, because everybody's seen your car.
Peugeot couldn't make that work.
No, quite. Yeah, but Volvo, Peugeot didn't do it with an estate.
No, that's what you think. That's where they went wrong.
Probably, yeah. But seriously, I reckon almost all of Volvo's reputation through the 90s that they gained was built off the back of
I actually would agree, because all the Volvos that were around, I mean the 740, the 240, the 940 and all that, they're all, I mean they're built to do a thing.
Yeah. And they were very good at that.
They're good at that thing, but they're really like stodgy.
Yeah.
I think people used to laugh at Volvo drivers.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think was the 850 complicit in like eradicating that?
Yes.
A little bit?
It wasn't just complicit, it was the reason.
Yeah.
Not just the touring cars, but the road cars as well. You know, because never before had Volvo made anything so overtly performance oriented as the 850 T5R, which came along at the same time.
The 850R in green. With the dark wheels.
See, I mean, as I understand it, the T5R is a fraction more special than the R.
I thought the R was the better one.
I thought
it was the T5, then the T5R.
But the T5R was a more limited run, and then
was that what it was?
Everybody liked them and bought them, so Volvo then did the R.
Oh, okay.
I think that's the way around it was. Commenters tell me I'm wrong, because I usually am, but I think that's the way around it was. Yes, but I think that's the way around it was. And I remember, again, going back to my old Top Gear magazines, they raved about the T5R and the R, and I used to think it was just such a cool thing. So it's quite fun to be, now testing a Volvo. But here's the thing, all those estates you've mentioned, that was what Volvo was known for, obviously, was making estates back in the day. Yeah. But the Volvo estate was the core part of Volvo, and then they stopped selling them.
This was recent?
Yes.
Yeah,
right.
I think I remember something about that.
Yeah, they went SUV only in 2023.
And there were those Polestar things.
Well, yeah, technically Polestar isn't part of Volvo anymore.
Is it not?
No, actually Volvo sold their stake in Polestar.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So Polestar is part of Geely, which is the parent company.
Is this like Citroen and DS?
No, because I don't know. I couldn't tell you about the share situation with Citroen and DS. But yeah, no, it's an interesting one in that Polestar is now no longer. I don't think Polestar is actually associated with Volvo anymore, even though you would think that they are.
Even though they look like one.
Even though they do look like one, yeah, exactly. It's particularly the Polestar 2. Well, the Polestar 2 was actually originally a Volvo design.
Are there any modern cars that have good names?
That's definitely a topic for another.
Because I haven't heard one.
That's definitely a topic for another.
A Polestar 2.
Polestar 2. Yeah, they like doing that. It's down to the kind of ethos of simplicity.
Mind you, have Volvo ever had a good name? Or the Amazon?
Amazon was good. Yeah, that's
actually the P1800S.
P1800S.
That works, doesn't it? That works.
I happen to think 480 Turbo is quite a good name.
Yeah, not bad. It
just rolls
actually,
off the tongue
850R.
850R.
850R is good. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, we are in a Volvo estate today. I'm happy to be driving a Volvo estate. And you may be wondering...
Hang on, I think you said Volvo stopped making estates.
They didn't stop making them, they stopped selling them in this country. And then they started selling them in this country again.
Why did they stop selling What?
Well, what happened was Volvo thought everybody in this country wanted SUVs. So
Which
they decided
is a fair assessment.
So they decided to go SUV only. And then suddenly everybody found out they were going to go SUV only and
cried about it on Twitter. Right, yes.
Yeah. Actually, a lot of their customers got quite upset. And they said, I still want to be able to
A lot of their customers who were buying SUVs.
Well, still, the problem is still quite a small proportion, but a significant proportion of Volvo customers were still buying estates. And they figured out that those customers, they couldn't then parlay into an SUV because they particularly wanted an estate. So they were going to lose those customers to BMW, who were still making estates, and Mercedes, who are still making very good estates, actually. And so they I think they got the heebie-jeebies about it and went, actually, we'd better start bringing the estates back again.
So they were still making them. They didn't stop making them. Just stopped selling them.
They just stopped selling them here.
What's in it for them to stop? I mean, apart from...
Well, obviously...
they would have had right-hand drive cars for other markets.
Yeah, but obviously for a manufacturer, there's a certain amount invested in, marketing a car in this country. So I presume that they took a look at it.
But it sounds like the cars sell themselves. It sounds like they've got the ready-made customers.
I think there has been a tacit admission that they got the wrong idea when they did that. And I think what they've done is they've now gone, right, so I think it was July 2023, they said they were going to stop selling. Oh, hang on, was it It was 2023. They said they were going to stop selling them. It was 2024. They brought them back again.
I like
quite
that.
a rapid about turn, isn't it?
That's quite a change of direction.
Yeah. But I mean, the big difference is I don't think they're spending a lot of money updating them. So although they are still on sale, this is now technically quite an old car.
I was going to say that. Yeah, when I saw it outside, well, there's two things that came to my mind. 3 things that came to my mind.
4? Any advance on 3?
I can't. I think as I talk, so nothing in my head is planned. Apart from the segue into Volvo.
I'm quite surprised there's something in your head. That's impressive.
Yeah, no, there's lots of things. They're all They're all fighting for ways to get out. That's the issue. When I first saw it, I thought that's a funky colour.
Okay,
nice,
it is a funky colour.
Nice colour.
It's a nice colour.
Second thing I thought was that's a refreshingly normal looking car. For a new car, that looks like a car.
Yeah.
It's got a bonnet.
Yeah.
It's got it's an estate.
It's an estate. Yeah.
The route it was parked next to us. This isn't the Citroen podcast, but it was parked next to us Antia.
We spent half the podcast talking about the SM's engine.
Last time pretty much was last podcast. No, the SM's Maserati engine.
Ah, of course.
Italian.
Yeah, that makes it all better.
Italian, you see.
Fine.
Genuinely, there's nothing Citroen in that engine at all, except the oil filler cap.
Okay.
And it was parked next to the Xantia, and we were commented that it was. Well, first off, we thought, oh, that's so much higher than the Xantia, and then we realised the Xantia was on its arse.
Yeah.
I thought, actually, if it wasn't, it wouldn't be that much bigger.
No.
So that's the second thing I thought is that's
definitely wider.
That's wider.
But you know, I think you have to
I haven't done the third thing yet.
Oh, all right. Sorry, carry on.
The third thing, I thought it was quite a nice looking car.
Wow,
I'm being positive.
Look, you are, and I don't disagree with you. I think these
Volvo PR now should be listening to that guy. Jesus. Hang on. So he said what?
He said a nice thing about our car.
About a new car.
So here's the thing: all these Volvo estates, the design.
And then you're going to tell me it's an old car.
Well, it is.
That's why I like it.
It's not like all these Volvo estates. Their design emanates from a concept they did, which was like a shooting brake, a 3-door estate concept they did in, I think it was about 2014, 2015, and then the V90 came along after that, which was probably 2016, I think.
Is that the murderous looking one?
It's the bigger version of this.
Yeah, there's one with the saloon is really sinister looking.
Yeah, I think it probably is
black
that one.
or something.
Yeah. So that's the S90, and the estate is like a longer version. It looks. I really like the way they look. And then this came along, I think 2017, 2018, something like that. So it's not actually an old car per se, but it's
getting on 8 years.
Yeah, it's been in production for a while, you know. So in any you would normally think, right, well, they're probably thinking about replacing this at this point, but I'm not entirely sure that they are because
the people who want to buy them. I said the people who want to buy them just keep buying them.
Yeah, pretty much. But why would you? If
well, this is what I'm going to say. Yeah, you're like, why do I need to buy a new one? My other one still works fine, and it's 5 years old.
Yeah, but that's not the way people think these days.
No, it's 3 years old. It's getting on with it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I hate people like that.
But you see, the thing is, for Volvo, I don't blame Volvo for not really doing much with this because if they want to invest in EVs and this, that, and the other, but they can still sell, I don't know, the same amount of these as they were selling to people beforehand. And they're going to buy them. Why would you spend the money kind of doing many updates? It's still a perfectly nice car.
But it is. Actually, I sit in this now and think if I was, I would never buy a new car.
No.
But if I was sitting in it now thinking, if I had a selection of, the cars you've brought in.
Yeah.
You've brought in the ID wank. You've brought in the BMW...
So there's a really good point. The BMW is an estate as well.
I prefer this to that.
But I prefer this to that.
Yeah, I much prefer this.
This is, to be fair, that is a slightly different class of car. It sits in the class above this, so it's
more expensive than this.
So it's more expensive than this. I mean, this still isn't cheap. To be fair, I mean, this is
no new car, is it?
No, I mean you've got to couch that in the idea. Volvo is now a bona fide premium brand. So it sits alongside Audi and BMW and so on and so forth. These started, I think, about £40,000. It's a lot of money, but that's what these things cost.
That Genesis was 85.
There you go. Well, the BMW was 85 as well. So.
No, that's mental. I think...
Was it 75? The BMW was 75. It was a lot of money, but that was a plug-in hybrid. Where this is just a mild hybrid.
The mild hybrid it's basically not a hybrid. It's like it's a petrol engine with a little boost.
Pretty much. That's about right.
It's got KERS.
Yes. For once, that's a really, really good explanation. If you're into Formula One, it's got KERS. What it effectively has is instead of having a full hybrid has a big battery, I'd say a medium-sized battery. Plug-in hybrid has a big battery as well as a petrol engine. Plug-in hybrid, the name explains it. You plug it in, you charge up the battery. That gives you 30, 40, 50, 60 miles of
Surely a plug-in hybrid can regen and charge itself?
It can, but of course it can't charge the full battery up. It can only charge a little bit of the battery up. Because it takes quite a lot of energy to give you 30 or 40 miles of range from a petrol engine. So it can regen a bit, but not very much. So it can't really regen its full battery.
So it's not like a diesel locomotive?
No, exactly. And I think that's the mistake people make with plug-in hybrids, is they assume that if I can have a plug-in hybrid and I don't plug it in, it will just add lots of electricity.
Why can't the petrol engine just create drive the generator to create the power and move the wheels?
Yeah, I mean, you could set it up to do that, and actually I think a couple of them now do, but it uses such a lot of petrol to do that it sort of defeats the point of doing so. But the idea with a plug-in obviously is that you have a charging point in your home, you plug it in, and then you just use the electric range most of the time, and the petrol engine is sort of almost a backup. But that only really works if you have somewhere to plug it in and then you're plugging it in regularly. Because the problem you have is if you're using a plug-in hybrid without charging it up, you're effectively carrying a fairly big dead weight around all the time, which makes it quite thirsty. So it completely defeats the point. Which is why, obviously, plug-in hybrids are being quite heavily incentivized on company car tax. If you are choosing company car, it's based on how much you pay is based on the CO2 it emits, and plug-in hybrids are very favourable on CO2 because they do very well in the official tests. And that then means that lots of company car drivers choose them because if they haven't got somewhere to charge it up, like an electric car, it means that you get cheaper company car tax, but you can still drive without charging it up. But the problem is, if you drive without charging up, you're paying an awful lot on fuel because, as I say, you're driving a petrol engine with a dirty, great big a lump of lead in it.
Right, okay.
So think of it in those terms. A full hybrid, which is kind of what a Prius is basically, has a smaller battery than a plug-in, but still a bigger battery than this. And what that's then doing is the battery's small enough that the petrol engine is then charging the battery fully and then deploying that battery, that electric energy rather, in situations where it's beneficial to. So it can lend a bit of a shoulder to the wheel going up a hill or something like that. Or it can trickle you along in traffic without starting the petrol engine up. So it can move the car forward, but only at slow speeds.
But this can't do that.
No, this can't do that. This is a lesser version of a hybrid still. It effectively has a slightly bigger battery than what you'd normally have, and it has what's called an integrated starter generator, which is effectively like a beefed up starter.
Which is how when you start the engine, it just suddenly becomes running.
Exactly, it's amazing. Hearing a mild hybrid start's quite cool.
Engine.
And mild hybrids, it's best to think of a mild hybrid, it's not as fuel efficient as a full hybrid, because obviously it hasn't got as big a battery to do as much of the work. But it gives you probably 2 or 3 extra miles to the gallon for much less trade-off in terms
to
of
be honest,
it
seems like a bit of a gimmick to me.
It does, and to a point it is, but what you've got to remember is the extra weight. You're not adding a lot of extra weight because you're not adding a massive battery.
But you're not gaining a lot of extra.
No, this is the thing. So it's really kind of whether you think it's a gimmick is whether you think the extra weight is worth the extra couple of miles per gallon.
I'm guessing it gives you some sort of tax benefit or something.
Not really. Not if you're buying kind of retail. Not generally, but it does allow manufacturers to. One of the chief reasons for doing it is allows manufacturers. I'll forget my words out. To say it's a hybrid, which. Jumps on the hybrid bandwagon.
There'll be some kind of quota that they're meeting as well, I'd have thought.
Yeah, probably. It does help them to reduce their range-wide CO2, which is important these days. But if it's well integrated, a mild hybrid can still be pretty useful. I mean, what we have here is effectively, think of it as a 2-litre petrol turbo with about 200 horsepower. And yet I drove down here in it today and I got about 55 to the gallon in it.
That is impressive.
Which I think is pretty good.
That's very impressive,
I think that's pretty good.
Genuine 55.
Well, what the trip computer's saying. So it's
not going to be miles.
It's not going to be miles away. Yeah. No. So I think that's pretty decent, and I think there's a lot to be said for a car like this where it's well integrated and it does its job well. It's still not, for my money, it's still not quite as good as a diesel, which would have got better than that, but. Don't forget that petrol's a cheaper fuel as well. So if you actually do the sums, you'll probably find this is probably about as cheap to run.
So you don't get mild hybrid diesels then? Is that a Mercedes that you said?
Mercedes do a mild hybrid diesel, and that is astonishing. That one I got, again, similar sort of thing where I wasn't really trying an economy run. I got sort of 73 to the gallon out of that. If we hadn't had Dieselgate and the world hadn't gone off diesels, that would be the technology of the moment, really, because although it's not quite our long-term thing, which is probably EVs or hydrogen, it does give you a really good transition where we're using very, very little fuel. And we've got cars that...
To be fair, if they get in petrol cars that can do 55 to the gallon...
It's a fair point.
It's not...
It's a fair point, you know.
You know, a good diesel of 20 years ago would
This is not a hair shirt. It's a nice car to drive around in. A hair shirt. Have you never heard the term a hair shirt?
I'm not the same class as you.
So a hair shirt is what they used to use to, if you wanted to punish yourself, you would wear a hair shirt, which is a shirt with horsehairs on the inside of it. It was if you'd sinned, you had to wear a hair shirt to punish yourself. So it's a term that means you're driving something where you're kind of self-flagellating to save the planet, you know. This is not that car. This is the point
flagellating means either.
Sorry, I will stop using long words. Car is good.
This is good.
I think it's quite good. Yeah, there's a couple of little problems with it, but you know, I'm
I don't like the
hairs.
screen.
Yeah, I mean, so that's one of the things. It has got a touchscreen and it lacks climate control buttons.
But I do like the vents either side of it. They're an amazing shape.
Cool. They're an incredible shape. The one thing that I will say about the touchscreen on this is it works very well. It responds quickly, so you're not sitting there going, "Why have you done the thing?" The other thing that Volvo did, and a lot of manufacturers are now doing, is okay, I haven't got climate control buttons. Bad, but what it has is effectively like, you know, on your computer you've got a taskbar that's always on along the bottom.
I don't know if you've never seen my computer.
Oh, well, I know, because I know you've got a Windows computer. I don't actually know you've got a Windows computer.
You've been spying on my house.
Yeah.
Again.
You hear that rustling in the bushes? That's me. If the little glint is the sunlight catching.
You were told in court not to do that.
But it wasn't legally binding.
Yes, it was.
It wasn't.
It was.
We're among friends.
No, it was legally. You're literally going to go to prison.
It's fine. It's fine.
They will come for you.
If I'm not
They're coming now.
If I'm not here next episode, we know why.
I'll be in an older car.
On your own. So this is much better. Why did I ever invite that man to come and talk to me?
Hey, you got invited to be on a podcast with Vicky Butler Henderson.
I did, that's true.
And I didn't. So who's the number one in this dynamic?
Well, I'm saying nothing. Going back to what I was saying before, the joy, it's not really a joy, but the one saving grace with this, if you like, is that you don't have separate climate control buttons, but what the touchscreen does is it always has a little bit along the bottom that is reserved just for the climate control. So you don't have to go fishing through menus to find where you want to adjust the climate control. You have to take your eyes off the road of it, but there's always a bit you just go plop and adjust what you want to adjust.
It's still like...
I agree. No, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to make excuses for it. It's not perfect. But I view
it's a shame because the car's actually got more
enough space to do it.
It's got more. Well, yes,
that's what's frustrating.
It's got a proper dashboard.
Yes.
Well, I say it's got a proper dashboard. It's got the proper. It's got the shape of a dashboard. Yeah. But why be sat in the back? It looks like. But where the speedo goes and everything, it looks like it hasn't been installed yet.
No, that's because
it's looked like BeamNG hasn't uploaded the texture.
No.
So there's just a big screen in the middle, but a proper centre console.
Yep.
And then where the dials go and everything, there's just nothing.
Tell you the one good thing about having a tall screen like that, which most cars have a landscape, it's got portrait. You've mentioned it before to me in the past.
Yeah, I know. I was wrong.
Which is where, if you're using the nav and you have the nav full screen, it's showing you what's ahead of you, which is where you're travelling, rather than what's over there.
Yes.
Which is...
I know where all the reservoirs are.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, there's a lake over there. That's great.
There's a forest about 2 miles that way.
I've never understood. To me, this is the sensible way.
There's a lot of reservoirs around the outside of the M25.
Oh, yeah, there are.
Yeah.
Around that kind of bit around Heathrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
There's a lot there,
Lots of water.
Lots of water.
That's probably where I get my drinking water from.
Interesting.
It might well be.
Interesting.
Yeah, you noted that.
I'll know where I need to stop to take a leak.
But no, and I do.
Sorry, whole of London.
just for a practical joke on one person. It's amazing.
They'd understand.
Yes. So I do. I mean, okay. Caveated in the idea that I don't like the fact it's got climate controls that you have to use it through the touchscreen. The touchscreen itself is not one of the most egregious on the market. Let's put it that way. And I like the quality of it. I think it's a really nice feeling thing. I think it feels high quality. It feels like, you don't like the door handles. I accept the door handles. They used to be metal, but they don't seem to be.
The shape is okay.
Shape's good. You've got this kind of trigger grip.
What's the...
Oh, you've got a clunk.
The recoil's quite... Oh, no, it's not, actually.
How's your door clunk? I know you like a...
Genesis level?
Genesis level.
I would say Genesis level,
yeah.
Not quite BMW.
Not quite the BMW.
No.
But then the BMW is double the price of this car.
Yeah. A lot better than the Buzz.
So a lot better than the Buzz.
That was like a van.
The Buzz. And, so this interior, the way they've spec this particular car is more of a sporty feel with the black leather and the kind of the metal inserts.
Metal.
I think it is actually... it might not be.
No, that's plastic.
This is not metal, but I think the bit across the dash might
that might
be real
be
metal.
looking at it,
But the best way to spec these, because in my view, all Scandinavian cars should have light interiors, is with the cream leather, and they do a lovely, really pale wood. You know, the old 850s had that pale wood finish you could get them with.
Yeah, but
it's very IKEA.
Yeah, but Alan, you were 55 when you were 20.
Well, no, I do take your point, yes, but I do also think that it's a very Scandinavian thing to have that light wood finish. It's very.
Is it?
Yeah, I think it is. I would stand by my comment, and I think. Look, I had a mate who had one of these. Unfortunately, it got nicked off his driveway, but he had the cream leather with the light wood.
And it got nicked despite that?
And it got nicked because of that, probably.
No. No.
Okay, I'm taking it a bit too far there, I will admit. But it was a really, really lovely place to be. And, you know, so I don't think this is the ideal spec, but I do still think it's a really nicely put together interior. And, you know, we've got to remember, by the standards of modern cars, there's a lot of cheap-feeling modern cars.
Yeah.
And this actually feels really nice. This is, you know, all the plastics are pretty high. You know, this stuff up here is nice. This one on the... Yeah, but when do you ever feel a nice plastic on a B?
The air vents are...
Yeah, these rear air vents are a bit clacky. The front ones are much nicer.
Very XM, they are.
The front ones are much nicer. But you've got to remember, every manufacturer gives... The quality goes down the further back the car you get.
Yeah.
So, you know, we are feeling that... If you were to go and clack the front air vents, I think you'd quite like them. So again, we've taken the wrong decision by sitting in the back, really, here. What's these? You've got some nice damping on those.
Some damping.
Touch-sensitive lights. Yeah.
But it moves around in the headlining quite a lot.
It does. Well, that's a good point, yeah.
Put that in your article.
But generally, I think this is quite a nice thing. I think it feels quite nice. There's lots of nice little touches. This is hilarious. The gear knob...
Looks like a sex toy.
It does look like it. Is genuine crystal. It was one of the things that Volvo did. They down the road from the factory, there's a crystal.
If that's genuine crystal, then this car could be $5,000 cheaper.
There's a crystal manufacturer. Well, yeah, probably. There's a crystal manufacturer called oddfire. I'm probably pronouncing that terribly. And they wanted to make, one of the things they wanted to do was to make the luxury feel more Scandinavian and more of its place. So they decided that was one of the ways
to put it in a Volvo.
To put it in a Volvo, yeah. So they wanted a luxury feel that was more of Sweden.
Yeah, Volvo they're not completely exempted from the modern shite.
Well, no, and I think that's a fair comment, but then I wouldn't really expect them to.
Just notice these headrests.
Oh yeah,
what a weird looking headrest. Looks like E.T.'s head.
The front ones look a bit weird though. I think all Volvo headrests.
Yeah, they've looked like that since the 80s.
Yeah, this is the thing. Yeah.
But these ones haven't got mould on.
How do you mean? Oh no, that's true.
Which I discovered when I uploaded the last week's episode.
I'm not going for clicks here. I sort of am. Go back and have a look at OB9.
Yeah.
Have a look at the Zanti
OB10.
headrests. Oh, it is OB10. You're right. Beg your pardon. I got it wrong. Go back and have a look at OB10. Have a look at the Zanti headrests.
The ones behind our head.
The horror. We neither have had any clue.
No. That car had been sat in the yard for so long, and I opened the door and thought, there's going to be a forest in here. It's going to be disgusting, right? And it wasn't. Right. I stuck my head in and I thought,
it's just you didn't see it.
Well, it was contained. It was really fresh, and I thought, this is great. The carpets feel dry, the velour feels dry. This is brilliant. Nothing on the steering wheel, nothing on the gear knob because it's new.
Yeah.
This is brilliant. And so we brought it in here, and I only didn't really give it a clean. I thought this is actually, and you didn't notice it was minging.
I didn't, to be fair.
It seemed fine.
No.
And then I watched it back on the video today, and I thought, what's that on the headrest behind me? Ah! There's a lot of bacteria. It's obviously from people's heads over the years.
Yeah, well, quite.
It's ingrained in the fabric, so they need to come off and be burned.
Absolutely.
They can't be because they're active headrests, and
so they're probably worth something.
Well, they're just hard. No, but they're just hard to find. So, I'll have to see if I can take them off and jet wash them or something. But that was pretty disgusting. These aren't like that.
No. So how close are we here to getting to a modern car that you actually quite like? I mean, obviously, without having.
All things considered, this is the closest you've come. Yeah,
because the closest
that's weird for me to say because I don't really like Volvos that much.
The closest we had so far was the Genesis. So this is
but the Genesis I didn't. The Genesis was ugly. Didn't like the look of it.
It's not pretty. Yeah.
I see a lot of them now, and that over the road.
Well, I noticed there's now a Genesis dealer over the road.
Tons of them in the yard over the road, and I saw it and thought, that does look a bit, as the kids would say, mid.
Mid. Yes.
That's a bit mid.
Good use of the
whereas this, I saw this genuinely. I thought that's the nicest looking car.
I think it's a really handsome car. I think
I wouldn't go that
especially
far,
in this colour.
Yeah, it is the nicest looking car you've got. You've brought here.
Yeah.
Like if you said to me, like, you've got to drive to, well, let's cliche it. You've got to drive to Scotland tomorrow. Which one would you take of all the cars I've brought down?
I'd be like, to drive to Sweden.
Well, I'd definitely take this.
It's on topic.
Well, no, you've got to take it somewhere there's no incentive.
Oh, I see. Okay.
You've got to drive to Poland.
Okay.
I'm not going to take a German car. I'll take Sweden. Kind of neutral. I'll take Sweden.
Okay.
No, I would take the Volvo.
Yeah.
I think the seats are probably going to be the comfiest. I've not sat in it, but the dashboard's the nicest one to look at.
Seats are really comfy. Seats are very comfy.
The dashboard's the nicest one to look at. The Swedes.
You had a little feel.
The Swedes think things through.
Well, they do.
They pay attention to shit.
Yeah.
And I like
that's
them
the
for
thing. So here's another point I'll make about this car. It has all the horrible electronic drive aids that you wouldn't like. Okay, but hold that thought, because I drove down here and I didn't turn the lane keep assist off, and not once did it bother me.
It's more intuitive.
It actually does what it's supposed to do, i.e. operate in the background and only operate when you're screwing something up.
So if you don't indicate and you cross the lines and you keep crossing them.
And furthermore, what it does is, instead of pushing the wheel back into your lane, which I really hate, it just gives you a little kind of weird little vibration
a
through the wheel.
Haptic
Just
kind of thing. That's a good idea.
Just a little nudge, just to let you know.
Yeah. Like the C6 does on my seats.
Is that what it does? Yeah, it does. I remember you saying about this. Exactly that. It's
when it worked properly. It doesn't work properly now.
No, it doesn't. Just vibrate the seat all the time?
No, just randomly.
Brilliant.
In the UK, randomly. In France, when I drove it in France,
it's come home.
It works. I remember crossing the line on a French motorway and thought, oh, my seat,
it's actually done.
I didn't indicate. Oh, hey? It's working again. And then we got back to the UK
it's broken
and it's gone to shit. Yeah, and it's because I think it's because our roads are crap.
Yep. So
that's what I'm blaming.
Again, like going back to your point about it being well thought out, all the bits that
Swedish cars are.
There are lots of bits about modern cars that you wouldn't like in this that are here, but they're
the least intrusive.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. That's the way I'd put it. Is actually, and it goes back to what I was saying about the touchscreen. It has a touchscreen. It has the climate control stuff, but it's been set up in the way that's the least intrusive.
Put some knobs and buttons.
I know.
Make the screen half the size and just put some buttons under
it. You won't find any disagreement from me here. But I suppose my argument is always, on the assumption we have to have this is the best integrated way of having it. It's a stupid point because we don't have to have this. We could have it a different way, but seemingly that's the way it is. But I'd much rather have this system than, say, the older Volkswagen system where you had to fish through the menus to adjust the temperature, or that Amoda that we had a couple of weeks ago, where nothing is on the screen permanently, so you then have to go back through the menus to adjust the temperature, which is really frustrating. At least with this, when you want to adjust the temperature, it's one press. Whereas with anything else that it's in the menus, you're doing at least 3 presses, because you have to exit what you're looking at, go into the menu, do what you want to do, then come back out. Yeah. So actually it's at least 4 presses. And for each of those presses, you're taking your eyes away from the road, or you're taking your eyes away from longer. It encourages you to take your eyes away from the road.
We need Saab to come back, because Saab would nail it, wouldn't they?
I think they would. Yeah, I think there's a place for Saab. Well, that's rubbish, because nobody would buy them.
There clearly wasn't.
There clearly wasn't a place for Saab. But I think there is a place for Saab, and Volvo certainly get as close as,
It's funny that.
Get to Saab, So I like this. I think it's a really nice car.
It's just a car. It's got A pillars, B pillars, C pillars.
And to me, it shows that you can do a modern car that's just a car.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be all the bells and fandangos
no, it's not some silly thing. It's got a nice car, like a glass roof. It's got a glass roof.
Yeah.
It's got a sensible boot, I'm guessing.
And look,
it's got comfy seats. It's got a dashboard.
Yeah.
If you don't like new cars, because you think of them with the big, deep dashboards and and funny shapes and things like that, and you drive something from early noughties or 90s or something like that, you wouldn't be out of place in this.
So there you go.
It's an actual car.
Yeah. And this, I suppose, it's cars like this that really, when we started the podcast, one of the first things I said in the first episode was, I kind of want to show you it's not all bad with new cars. And the irony is, the reason it's not all bad with this car is because it feels more like an old car.
Because it's an old car.
Because it is an old car, yeah. But it is a new car. It's a modern car. You've got all the safety. This is an incredibly safe car.
It's an old car, right? But Volvo take the decision to keep it going, to keep producing it, and to offer it for sale. Therefore, it is a new car.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the fact that it's better than anything, well, not anything, but the fact that it's better than a lot of the stuff that is newer, Well, that says more about the people making newer cars.
Well, I think you're right. You know, I like
say well
it a
done,
lot.
Volvo. I think you've done quite a good job.
Nice. Good. I think it's a really nice positive note to end the podcast on.
It's the only positive one you'll get out of me.
No, you had some positivity earlier on in the podcast.
Did I?
Yeah. That's 2.
Oh, when that kitten got run over. Yeah, I love that.
That's 2.
I love that. Painted all over the bloody road it was.
2 globs of positivity in the podcast.
Dead kitten in a Volvo.
Great. Amazing.
Yeah.
Good. Right. Well,
It didn't really. I can't joke. I quite like kittens. It didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. It didn't.
Yeah.
There's no kitten. No kitten got killed.
I think we should make that clear.
Yeah.
It's important to make that clear.
Well, I didn't do it.
Are you saying
hypothetically speaking, I didn't. I saved the spider yesterday. I wouldn't even kill a kitten.
Goodness me.
I went to fill my bucket of water up to wash to wash a car, and there was a massive spider in it, and it was like, "Help me! Don't fill the bucket up." And I was like, "Well, I'll help you." Then I put my hand in, and it went, "Oh no!" And I'm like, "Well, then what do you want me to do?"
I just got this image of you standing there having an argument with a spider.
Dickhead.
That is an even better note to end on. An image of you having an argument with a spider.
I did, yeah. I was shouting at it.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you next time on Overball. Bye!
I'm not doing bye this time.
Oh.
No, sorry. I'm leaving it open-ended.